How to fight battles and how to win them for Warhammer 3 Total War. Ooh, baby. Disclaimer, this video is for people who want to get a basic idea of how best to fight these battles and not an in-depth tutorial on how to win any battle in Total War. Win the battle. That's the video for you. You're welcome. So, you want to fight battles in Total War Warhammer 3. Well, we're going to start off with the basics. First comes the battle map. Here we have terrain, and this is elevation, obstacles, trees, rivers, what have you. Terrain is super important. Elevation, if you're higher up, you'll get a little bit of a bonus. If you're lower down, you're taking a little bit more damage. Unfortunate, but that's the case. Obstacles can protect you. Trees will hide you. Then there are things like lighting, where certain maps blind you. These are things to keep in mind when you see the battle map you're going to fight on. These are super important. You're going to want to pick a battlefield that is good for you. You've got your battle map, and now you need to figure out what position is good for you. You have a more stationary army. You're going to want to pick somewhere nice and safe and secure. Maybe get your flanks secured up. You have a more speed-oriented army. You want to be able to maneuver about. You'll want a nice big open map. One of the first things you have to deal with is, well, what kind of map am I fighting on? And then you'll want to take all those other things into consideration, like, is this a good map for my army? Now, your army. Your army is composed out of lots of different unit types. And these matter because different unit types do different things. Are you micro-intensive? Are you like super good at moving your units really fast and paying attention to everything that's going on? Amazing. You might like cavalry. But you also might not be that person. You might also need to take a second and plan out your moves. Maybe you'd like a more range-focused army. Range in Warhammer 3 is actually really nice. It is not as good as it was in Warhammer 2, but it is a good damage dealer because your units are standing still and just shooting. Now, we're going to talk about unit types. There are two upper groups, monstrous units and non-monstrous units. All unit types come under these two top layers. There is infantry, which is both melee and range. There is cavalry, light and heavy. There is artillery. All of these units come in monstrous and non-monstrous form. There are also single entities. Single entities are one unit, and they are very, very, very strong in Warhammer 3. You can do a lot with these guys. They are maybe a little bit overpowered. There are casters and melee boys and what have you. This is where magic comes into the game. This wasn't in the other games. You can make a big difference with these single entities. Dragons. I mean, it's a dragon. Dragons are actually big bullet sponges, so they're not as good as they sound, but they look cool. Now your army is composed of these units, and you'll have to figure out how best to use them. If you pick a range-focused army, it's good to pick that secured flank, that secured corner, that secured section. If you have a cavalry-focused army, you're going to want to maneuver about and encircle the enemy and slowly pick them off. So it's important to understand what these units kind of do. Infantry tends to be slow. Cavalry is supposed to be fast, but light cavalry is faster. So your heavy cavalry is fast, it's just usually slower. Artillery does big boom, 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 boom damage, and it's great. But if anything ever reaches it, it's going to melt. So what you compose your army of is going to help you decide what you can fight and what you can't fight. Fight battles, guys. It's worth it. Do it. It's fun. It's what makes Total War a bit unique, the loading into battles and being able to zoom in. You don't need to be good at battles. You don't need to anything. This is about having fun. Those single entities we mentioned can match any of these guys. They can be infantry. Most single entities that are heroes or lords will start off on foot. As they level up, they might gain a mount, which would make them cavalry, which will make them speedier and maybe have more HP and a bunch of things like this. Then you can move them around a lot faster because, like we said, infantry is pretty slow. It is what it is. Single entities are also where casters come in, and magic in this game is great. It's real strong. This is a guide on how to fight battles. If you have a caster, casters are very strong. General recommendation, damage spells usually perform better than buff or debuff spells. Healing is always good. So, you made your army out of these different units and you have your battle map. And the enemy's army is made out of these different units and they're also on the battle map. So your army and their army fight. Fight! Okay. Now that you're actually fighting and you have your army set, you will start using different tactics. If you have cavalry, you might want to have that go and snipe the artillery in the back because you know artillery is slow. You might have an army that is all melee. Well, one of the things you could do is stack that melee on top of each other to protect it from each other. Formations, the way you set up your army and the way the enemy sets up their army is very important. Understanding your skills, what you can pull off. Can I go and have a cavalry force sneak through the forest and hit that artillery? Understanding that you have the skill to go and dodge all of the enemy units is important. Distracting with some melee force on the right. This formation that you're building here and that you can maybe pull off is learning how to play, is getting better. Learning different formations can help you get better. And understanding the way the enemy thinks and behaves can give you a better understanding of what you can successfully pull off while fighting the enemy. So, what formations can I use against the enemy? What does my skill set allow me to do to beat the enemy? The best way to get better and win more battles is to practice. I know this is not what you wanted to hear. But if you start understanding the basic things, go into the map, look at the map, figure out what might be good for me, what might be a good position for me to fight, is what's going to teach you how to win a battle. Actually trying it, fighting the battle will win you the battle. Even if you lose this battle, you might win the next one. Sometimes losing can bring you a win down the line. Practice makes perfect, and that is actually how you fight. You take your boys, you throw them at the enemy boys. Bada-dim, bada-boom. Someone wins. You're fighting a battle. Do you win or lose? Is it an auto-resolve win or a manual win? Pros to taking the auto-resolve win. Cons to taking the auto-resolve win. Pros to taking an auto-resolve win might be you wipe the enemy army out. You don't take that much damage. You're not loading into the battle. Cons to an auto-resolve win? You don't know what kind of damage you're going to take. It says low casualties, but is it going to really be low? Who knows? Is it a manual win? Pros. Will you take a lot of damage? Maybe. Will you not? Will this give you experience? Yes. Will this give you as a person experience? Yes. Is this good to fight? Yes. Cons. It's going to take a while to load in. You might lose. You should still try, shouldn't you? Yeah. Are you going to lose? Was it an auto-resolve loss? Maybe you should fight it. Maybe you can win it in manual. Can you not win it in manual? Okay, maybe you should fight it and see what you can learn from it. Practice is good. It's good to practice. Or you can maybe go and save the battle to go and try later if you think it's an interesting battle. These are the questions you can ask when you are put in front of a battle. I hope this was slightly informative. Fight battles. You should. Practice is good. Things to keep in mind. Terrain, units, formations, enemies, skill sets, and lots of time invested in the game. This is a basic guide to figure out how to fight these battles. So depending on your skill set, the terrain you get, the army you have versus the enemy you have, you're going to have to make different choices. You're going to have to make different decisions. You're going to want to put some practice in and actually fight these battles. I can tell you how to read the stats for the different characters. I can tell you which spells are really good. I can tell you all these different things. But that information needs to be practiced and used and understood. So if you want to actually get better at fighting battles, you need to fight the battles.